For a session presented by Sandals Resorts International, please welcome Executive Chairman for Sandals Resorts International, Adam Stewart, in discussion with Skift President Carolyn Crimmins.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It is with great gratitude to see all your beautiful faces here today. We dreamed of this experience during the pandemic, so to have you show up here in person is so meaningful, and everyone else who's watching, thank you. Adam, I'm so happy to see you. I know you had great intentions of being here in person too, but
I did. Thank you, Carolyn. Lovely to see you.
But you're here over Zoom, so I'm really thankful for that. So let's start. We're going to go back 40 years, Adam, to 1981. And that was the year that your late father, Butch Stewart, founded Sandals. It was the first resort, I guess, was in Montego Bay in Jamaica, right?
Montego Bay, Jamaica, that's right.
And rumor has it that was also the year you were born, right? So one could say you were actually born into Sandals. Anyway, I just want to take a moment. Sadly, we lost an incredible legend. Your dad passed early in January. I had the great pleasure of knowing him. I don't know if any of you had ever worked or know Butch, but he was a larger-than-life personality. He was a real true change agent. And did so much for the Caribbean. So, you know, I know that you have big plans as well. You've been appointed the executive chairman of Sandals. And but before we get into that, I just want to take a really quick poll. How many of you have heard of Sandals? Right, like everyone, right? So there's something like a crazy brand recognition. I think upwards of 90% or so. But you say, Adam, that people think they know Sandals, but that the resort experience is quite different. So tell us about that. Yeah,
you know, Carolyn, my dad loved you. He knew you for quite some time. I think most of the world doesn't recognize that Sandals is a Caribbean company. My family, my dad was a 5th-generation Jamaican. I am a 6th-generation Jamaican. And the Caribbean is our sandbox, and our know-how locally, our connectivity to our communities, our agility, because we actually own uniquely. We own all of our resorts ourselves, our ability to kind of pivot, and the relationship that we have been able to create with our customers in this very sort of bespoke boutique way over that last 40 years. You know, as you said, I was born in January 1981. Sandals was founded in November 1981, and you know, full-blown child labor. And I was right there with my dad as we grew this company up. And today we have just around a 50% repeat guest ratio, and the company is the only super brand to ever have come out of the Caribbean with just about a 90% brand recognition, which is something we are incredibly proud of.
Yeah. So all of your resorts are all-inclusive. So I just have to ask you about that, right? Because the word all-inclusive sometimes is misrepresented, right? Or you know, how does Sandals define that term? Is there a stigma to it? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, Club Med was really the original forerunner. They were the brand that went out. Sandals was the company that legitimized all-inclusive. It was a company, you know, we sort of say we didn't invent it, but we perfected it. Mm-hmm. In many instances, all-inclusive is as a segment, and as there are in most industries, there are different factions of the segment. And in some instances, the consumer perception is true, whether it's, you know, it's a 2-star sort of long lines. What my dad did and pioneered, and what I did with him over the last 22 years, and certainly intend to do into the future, is we really took this segment and blew it out. And what I mean by that is removing all frictions, you know, no armbands, everything incredibly authentic, very high touch services from butler services. Recently, we started building over the water bungalows. and putting in services that absolutely exceed customer expectations. So all-inclusive done the Sandals way is, in our world and in our eyes, the most luxurious way to travel. Everything is included, no upcharge restaurants, no hidden fees. And all in all, we're building rooms these days. And as we look forward, that cost upward of $1 million to $1.5 million per key. It's absolute opulence on the absolute best beaches anywhere in the world with warm Caribbean hospitality. It's hard to beat.
Yeah, so I think we have to go see it, right? Who's ready? Anyone want to come with me? The over-the-water bungalow. I have to say, in all my travels, I've never stayed in one of those. Anyway, I want to move on to something that I know that you're incredibly passionate about, and your dad was as well. And that's, we hear a lot about sustainability, about sustainable, regenerative tourism. It's come up a lot today. We've heard, Marriott make their promise. I know there's some other announcements today on sustainability. Before I actually ask you the question, you started, Sandals started the foundation, and I would love if we can play the video and show the audience a little bit about what the foundation does. Very nice. And I know this is such a big focus for Sandals. And since its inception, Sandals tries to ensure that the local businesses and the communities are very much connected to the visitor experience, which I know, again, like a lot of the work that companies do kind of stays in the backdrop, but not for Sandals. So what does that look like in practice?
Yeah, when my dad founded the company 40 years ago, he put in a policy to adopt a local school within the community that the resort was. So it began in Montego Bay. We then went to Negril, Jamaica, Ocho Rios, onto the island of Antigua, and so forth. And today, Sandals sits as the largest private sector employer in the Caribbean. We have 15,000 employees across the Caribbean, across our 20 resorts. And in 2009, I had a conversation with my dad, and I said, this new generation is so aware of the challenges. The internet has become a microscope to understand what's going on in the world. And the truth is that we operate resorts in the developing world. And we set up a US 501c3 called the Sandals Foundation. And from then to date, over the last 11, coming on 12 years, we have been able to put 77 million US dollars of cash and kind into programs in the Caribbean through educational, environmental, and community programs. So we love to build libraries and computer labs, and we love to do things primarily, around education. But the fact is that we live in the Caribbean. I live in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Our company is headquartered in the Caribbean. These are our communities, and it reaches a stage where the word inclusivity and making sure that the farmers and the fishers and the taxi drivers and our entertainers, that they all become woven into the thread of this world-class organization, and everyone rises together, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, it must be. It must be. And, it's so clear that having this positive impact on any of the destinations where you're opening the resorts and the people that live there, this is so much a part of the DNA of Sandals. But I also think the other thing that is super interesting is that you actually say that you can see the ROI, that you actually have data that shows, how the impact is translating. Can you share with us some case studies that you have or examples of what you're seeing?
Sure. Sandals, our our idea of luxury is true authenticity of the beaten path. So we love to go into destinations that are undiscovered, that are untouched, have the most incredible beaches. It kind of starts for us with, with the real estate, and the real estate being that grade A, west facing for sunsets beach. The trade winds of the Caribbean go east to west. We design accommodations and facilities to take that in mind. So, a couple of great examples would be going into Exuma in the Bahamas. I mean, it's absolutely God's country. It's 40 minutes away from Miami. We bought a Four Seasons resort that was only about 5 years old. We spent about $50 million, what we call sandalizing it, transforming it into our Sandals, our signature pools and additional restaurants and facilities. But people have to get there. So we were able to get scheduled commercial planes to fly from American, from Delta. Air Canada flew there for the first time ever. Now, what that did is, and then at the same time, to drive the demand, we focused about 50% of our global advertising budget for a year on this destination. And what that did is all tides rise. So creating around 10 billion media impressions a year for a region of the world that is right next door, but a lot of people don't know about it. And what we saw there, Grenada was another great impact destination. Exuma, we tripled the airlift. Grenada, we doubled the airlift. Everyone's average daily rates rose. And Sandals has this ability to support the destination and the industry and put it on the world stage in these unknown but incredible destinations. That is the way we see luxury in the future.
Yeah, I think you just recently met with American Airlines, right? And talked about increasing the airlift, right?
We have actually Ben, who just went before. I know Ben really well. And of course, the airline industry is critical to the success of Caribbean travel. So American, JetBlue, Delta. But we just came back from Dallas meeting with American, talking about the next 2 to 3 years of Sandals expansion, how we're going to activate marketplaces and gateways, and how we're going to grow together. And that symbiotic relationship is truly critical for their growth and ours as a Caribbean region.
Yeah, fantastic. So, you're coming close to wrapping up your first year on the job, even though you had 40 years, I guess, in training, right? So tell me, what is your long-term vision, right? Your dad built this incredible brand of great foundation, and now it's time to build your legacy. What is the vision, the long-term vision look like for you? Yeah,
I mean, I travel on a passport that says Jamaica, but it says CARICOM Community, which is like the European Union. We have this thing called CARICOM in the Caribbean. And I am Caribbean to the bone. I'm unbelievably passionate about the warmth of Caribbean hospitality. When Caribbean people talk, they're singing a melody. When you smile at them, you're getting a smile back no matter what. Sandals has created this machine, and we have a division called the Sandals Corporate University that takes this incredible talent and attitudes and turns them into world-class hospitality professionals. So with that in mind, I look forward to welcoming more people to the Caribbean. We are about to turn on the destination of Curacao, the Dutch destination. I'm going to be calling Ben because KLM does a lot of business there. We are going into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Both of these destinations incredible and untouched with amazing assets. And truthfully, I stood up when my dad passed with our organization and said, we knew what Butch Stewart represented. We knew everything he was, this self-made entrepreneur. And we're going to double our company in the next 10 years, building at least 20 more resorts across the Caribbean. The Caribbean is our sandbox. And my dad taught us to dream big and never settle. And I intend on making sure that we do nothing less.
Wow, 20, did you just say 20 more resorts in the next 10 years? Did I catch that right?
At least 20 more.
Wow, okay, you heard it here. Well, we are almost out of time, but I do want to just quickly touch on, I know you just talked about the school and dream bigger, and I think that that opportunity that you give to the people there who live there, the local community, that's really fantastic, and it must be incredibly gratifying.
It sure is. You get to a stage where it's these are our communities and everyone wants to live good in their communities, but it gets to a stage where we have this platform and it becomes a sense of duty to be able to bring everyone along for the ride. And I think Sandals represents to a generation the possibility.
Well, good thing we only have 28 seconds left, right? Well, Adam is frozen somewhere in the Caribbean, and I just want to say how great it is to get to know the Sandals business, which I don't know if it was eye-opening for you, but it was certainly for me. So anyway, I will let him go, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Take care.